our Miss World Philippines 2021 candidate number 36, Tracy Maureen Perez.
Well, in my life, I've received so many no's. My life had been impossible in the first place, and I was always faced with so many failures, so many disappointments. At some points in my life, I gave up, I doubted myself. But me being here, me being Miss World Philippines, I hope that this can be a constant reminder and a physical reminder to all of you that nothing is impossible. That even if you fall 7 times, you can always get back up. And that's what I did. Even if I've stumbled and fell twice during Coronation Night, I chose to get back up because I know that I can. And I know that there's still a brighter future ahead. My name is Tracy Maureen Perez, Miss World Philippines 2021. I was born in Cebu City, but we moved to Bayugan and spent my elementary years there. And that was also where my mom studied college and where she got into this horrible accident. And because of that accident, she was told that she would never be able to bear a child and that she would only live up until 30 years old. She became pregnant and gave birth to me at 33 years old. And I was also a premature baby, just 6 months. Luckily, my lungs were already fully developed, and that is why I was able to survive. I grew up with just my single mom. I never met my dad, but it wasn't really that hard for me. I never felt like my family was broken. I never felt alone because my mom really made sure that she poured everything she had, and she made me feel that we had a complete family. My mom was really my everything. She was both my mom and my dad. She was also my sister, my best friend. She was my everything. I would tell her everything. I would share all my stories with her. I never kept anything from her. She was definitely my one and only best friend at the time. I lost her 11 years ago when I was just 17 years old. But nevertheless, I'm just very grateful that God gave me her, that she was able to give birth to me, and that I was able to spend 17 years of my life with her. You know, when you were in elementary and they would always ask you what your dream job would be like, and I would always just say that I want to be a manager. I'm an industrial engineer by profession. Well, industrial engineering is really known to be a man's job and a man's course. So that alone in itself for me is already an achievement. I proved to myself and to everyone that it can also be a woman's job. I never really dreamt of being a beauty queen at the time. Even though my mom was also a beauty queen during her time, I might add. She was a Binibining Pilipinas candidate, 1979. She would always tell me her stories back then, how she was competing during her time, but I would never listen to her that much. I would never pay much attention. And I kind of regret that these days. I wished I listened to her more because when I tried my very first pageant, that was when I fell in love with the pageant industry. I loved how I was able to meet so many people. I gained so many friends. Growing up in the province, I would rarely see my neighbors. So it was a very new experience to me, having so many people around me. It was really so much fun for me. Back in my college days, they would ask me to join our school pageants and inter-school pageants. I actually won Miss University of San Carlos, Talamban campus. That was my very first actual pageant, and I won the crown. After that, I also received some modeling offers, but I was not able to actually push through with that because I really wanted to just focus with my course, with finishing my degree. So after I graduated, that was actually when I started joining my very first pageant. I was already working then, and we had this company pageant, and after that, my bosses from work submitted an application for me without me knowing. I felt like they did it because they saw my potential. And because of them, I would never be here. I would never be Miss World Philippines if not for them. That was my very first pageant, and it was the most prestigious pageant back in Cebu at the time. It's Miss Cebu 2016. During my very first try, my very first pageant, I was able to finish as first runner-up. And after that, I kept joining every single year from 2016 up until 2021. I never stopped joining. It also took me 3 years before I bagged a crown in Cebu. That was really my principle back then. I want to win in Cebu first so I could feel that I'm worthy of bringing the Cebu sash in the national stage. And when I'm already here in the national scene, it also took me 3 years before I bagged the Miss World Philippines crown. So it was a long journey, definitely. It took me 6 years for me to be here. And I am just very happy that finally my dream has come true and that the best days are yet to come for me. When I experienced my very first pageant, it actually inspired me to dream bigger, that maybe I would fare well in the national stage. It started to become a dream of mine when I first joined my pageant, my Cebu pageant. I realized that it was actually so much fun. I met so many girls from different backgrounds. Hearing their personal experiences, it also taught me that I was never alone all along, because I thought at some point I've struggled so many things in my life, I've had so many hardships that I would even ask myself, why does everything about my life have to be so hard? And why does everyone seem to have an easy life? I've come to a point where I would ask God all those things, self-pity. But meeting all those girls and hearing their stories reminded me that they also have their fair share of struggles. And that pushed me to really continue on with my dreams, that despite having it hard in life, it doesn't mean that I have to stop there, that it doesn't mean that I have to just be limited to what I think of myself as. I joined in the national competition 3 times. My very first try was Miss World Philippines 2019. The second one was Miss Universe Philippines 2020. And then right now for Miss World Philippines 2021. Back in 2019, it was my very first experience in the nationals. It was also my first time coming here to Manila and really staying here for months at a time. One of my biggest learnings is that you always have to be prepared when you join competitions. 2019, I felt like it was a training ground for me. And there were so many realizations, so many lessons along the way. And so many people I had to meet so that I could finally become Miss World Philippines. In 2020, I tried again for the second time for Miss Universe Philippines. Back then, it was in the midst of the pandemic. It was the very first time where we had a bubble set up for pageantry. It was also the first time I tried that we didn't have an audience, a live audience, and we had everything taped. It was also the first in the Philippines, so we were also kind of adjusting from time to time, not just myself, but also the organizations. For 2021 Miss World Philippines, this is actually the only time that I was able to tell myself that I'm fully ready, that I'm fully capable of bringing the Philippine sash. I'm finally deserving of the crown. In the past 2 years, I wanted it. I wanted it so bad. I was working hard, I was giving it my 100%, but I realized doing your 100% is not enough. You also have to have the right people with you, because being in a pageant and winning for the Philippines requires so many people with you. You cannot do it alone. And I'm just very thankful that in this journey of mine, for my 3rd try, I have the best team with me. Both my Cebu team and my Manila team have collaborated so that I could be here. Again, I would never be Miss World Philippines without the help of every single individual who collaborated and who willingly helped me to see me win. For my 3rd try, it's more of a mental preparation, I have to be honest, because prior to me joining for the 3rd try, I had a sit-down talk with my cousins, with my elder cousins, who are also my guardians now, that I don't have my parents anymore. And they asked me, if you lose again, would you still be able to handle it? Because I have to be honest, I gave my everything for the past 2 years and I didn't really get the result that I hoped and prayed for. It was heartbreaking. I thought of myself as a failure. I doubted myself even more. And they saw that. They saw all of those times that I cried myself to sleep. They were just really concerned about my well-being, and they were concerned if, just in case I don't make it again, would you still be able to handle it? Would you still be okay? And I couldn't answer them. I couldn't answer them right there and then. So I slept on it. I asked for a few more days for me to think about it. And when I had my answer, I told them, you know what? I'll be okay. No matter the result, I'll be okay. Because as long as I know that I was able to give my best, because I know this time I'm much more prepared. I know I have all these people with me. I can never go wrong anymore. So if I don't make it again, it's all on me. I cannot say that I was not able to receive as much help. I was not able to prepare so much because I didn't have my team with me. This time I had all those. I have no excuse not to make it, but I cannot blame anyone but myself if I don't make it, and that is already fine with me. So along the way, I was just really giving it my 100%. I made sure that I was mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared, and of course financially prepared, because being in a pageant is very costly. I come from humble beginnings, and all throughout my pageant career, I never stopped working on the side, even if I'm in the pageant competing, because being here in the metro, it's very costly, and I would never be able to afford living here if I stopped working. So that's also one of the challenges I had to bear so that I could fulfill my dream of becoming a beauty queen.
Naik Cavite.
Candidate number 36, Tracy Maureen Perez, Cebu.
Normally, backstage, I would already be so nervous to the point where I feel like I would be crying any moment. But during the Coronation Night for Miss World Philippines 2021, I felt so light, because I think it's purely because of the fact that I removed the pressure from myself. When you want something too much, you tend to pressure yourself even more. You become so hard on yourself when in fact you've already given your all. So that was really my mindset for this time, for my third try. I kept on telling myself that I'm doing everything I can and it's already enough. That as long as I'm able to give my bestest performance on Coronation Night, no matter the result, I'll be happy. So I didn't have that kind of pressure that kept telling me, oh, you have to win Miss World Philippines, you have to win the crown because it's your final try and it would be shameful if you don't win again. I think it's also a conscious effort of really thinking to yourself that you have to think positively, because again, you've already prepared in the past. There's nothing else you can do at the moment but just perform and just show people what you've worked so hard for. And that's just what I did. I enjoyed the moment. I would always sing the Miss World Philippines song at the back of my mind, and it really calms my nerves. And it goes like this: she's the one, she's a queen, Miss World Philippines. Something like that. I would always replay that in my head before going out of the stage. And it makes me more inspired to just really perform and just feel light on stage. Because they would know if you have the nerves, if you're pressured, the audience and the judges will feel that too. So, in the Coronation Night, I was just really happy and I was just really thankful for the moment, because after 2 or 3 postponements, finally, the Coronation Night pushed through.
Give it up for candidate number 36, Tracy Perez. Tracy Maureen Perez.
When they were calling me for the special awards, of course, I was very happy, and I was thinking, oh, maybe this is a good sign, because I always believe in signs. I believe in stars aligning for you that night. So I felt pretty good that the stars were already starting to align for me. But I didn't let it get to my head. The awarding was prior to the Q&A portion. It's always back to zero when you compete. When you get special or minor awards, you always have to erase that and take that away from your head and just restart, because that doesn't have any bearing. After winning those awards, I told myself, okay, this is another set of competition. I have to perform. So that's what I did.
After we go through this pandemic, what would you want us to learn from it?
After this pandemic, I hope that we never take for granted the family that we have.
They asked me about the pandemic. I look back on my personal experience with the pandemic, and if there's one big thing I realized, it's that now more than ever, we have to remind ourselves to give value to otherwise little things that we take for granted. For example, our health, our family. Sometimes we get so busy with life, with making a living, that we forget to even tell our loved ones how much we love them. And that's what's exactly happening today. We're reminded to step back and to really assess our lives, assess our relationships, and give them the time that they need, especially our parents, our lolos and lolas, to really give them as much care and love as we can, because again, tomorrow is never guaranteed.
36, Tracy Maureen Perez.
When I fell the first time, that was the only time that I felt nervous. I thought to myself, is this a bad sign? Or is this a good sign? Does this mean I'll be bringing home the Miss World Philippines title? Or will this mean I will not get anything at all? So I started rethinking my performance. Was I able to perform well on every aspect? I reminded myself that, oh, I did well. I did everything that I trained, that I practiced. And I felt really happy with my performance. So just step back and breathe. You are fine. Although it was very embarrassing for me, I had to remind myself, I just have to smile. It already happened. I could never replace or erase that. So just stand back up and smile. It's fine.
Finally, it's time to crown our Miss World Philippines 2021.
Our Miss World Philippines 2021.
When they called the Miss World Philippines, I just closed my eyes and drowned everything out. I just kept the noise away and just focused on what the announcement will be.
Candidate number 36, Tracy Maureen Perez.
Luckily, fortunately, my name was called. At the time, I was still a bit embarrassed from my fall, but deep inside, I was already crying. Because finally, God, thank you, Lord. I made it. We made it. For the second fall, it was already because of the first fall. My legs were already shaking, and my gown was broken, so I was already stepping on the beads of my gown, so it was a bit slippery. When I fell the second time with my crown, I didn't really feel anything anymore because I think I was already too embarrassed with my first fall that I forgot that I fell the second time. After Coronation Night, I did not check social media yet. I wasn't ready for the videos. I wasn't ready for the reaction of the people. I was really surprised, a good kind of surprised, that the people were not really saying bad things about it. They were even concerned about me. They were even saying inspiring messages. And they were telling me that finally all my hard work paid off. After winning, it's been really hard because, again, I come from a normal setting. I don't really know what to expect just yet when it comes to preparing, especially for a larger and a grander scale. So I really banked on the fact that I have the best people with me. I was relying on my team, my Cebu team and my Manila team. For everyone who really helped me, not just in my pageant career, but all throughout my life. You've never left my side despite all the ups and downs in my life. And for that, I'm just very grateful. I may no longer have a family, but I found a family in all of you. I can only promise that we will be together in this journey, and in the future achievements that we will be getting, I will be bringing all of you with me. And I hope that you continue to support me and that you continue to pray for me, because prayers will always go a long way.